Should I just stay in it for a little while, or?
Yeah. Hey, so welcome to the KinoKast, episode 3. Today we are talking about movies to watch in the quarantine. And Andrew, you can hop out right now. Um,
All right.
yeah, just go in the
I
chat. You can talk to us in the chat.
I recommend Quarantine and Contagion and 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
These will not induce any sort of anxiety that you're already feeling about COVID-19. All right, have a great cast, boys. See ya.
See ya. So I'm also joined by Creston,
Greetings.
Seaboy, and we're gonna start bringing people on after we get through this intro as well, because there's a few things I want to touch on to all 0 people that are currently watching. Um, so, um, so the coronavirus has definitely affected, I would say, more than one sector of the economy, and it is very much affecting the entertainment industry right now as well.
It's been a devastating blow for movies. That's all the headlines that I've been seeing in my bunker.
Yeah, so the last weekend was the lowest box office weekend in the last 22 years. 22-year low means that the last bad weekend was 1998. I don't know what happened in 1998 to make the weekend so bad, but...
Well, I mean, I think 9/11 really overshadowed this, but in 1998 there was did anything happen in 1998?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if anything happened in 1998, but this is the lowest box office weekend since 1998, which is crazy. And anyways, so now studios are pulling their films. We just had First Cow. A24 just pulled that and said that they're gonna show it later in the year, which is crazy because it already opened in several cinemas, and they literally just pulled it from all of the cinemas and then said that they're gonna release it later this year.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
I was gonna see my cake kino, dude. I wanted to see them milk that shit and turn it into cakes for British people.
Yeah.
That movie looks like, what my life would probably be like if I lived back then. And I really feel offended that A24 would do me like that.
Hey, Creston, can you up your mic a bit, because I can barely hear you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, cool. Let's see here.
Yeah. So anyways, yes.
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear
Better?
you now. Yeah.
Better? Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
so basically, what I wanted to say is, so First Cow got pulled. Universal is now releasing Emma, the Invisible Man, and The Hunt on digital video on demand this week for $19.99. Actual proof there's a society we live in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all these movies are coming out digitally this week. Disney released Rise of Skywalker early. Disney put Frozen 2 on Disney Plus. All these studios are putting everything online, or they're pushing it. I mean, we have James Bond that's been pushed. We have what else has been pushed? The Peter Rabbit, the James Corden Peter Rabbit disaster has been pushed. A few other films have been pushed to later on in the year. And what I'm seeing is with smaller movies that might have been playing in the box office, they're just being put right on digital right now. So no one wants to go to the movie theaters. I mean, a lot of movie theaters shut down. The Metrograph in New York shut down. Alamo Drafthouse is shutting down its cinemas. AMC said that they're limiting it to max of 50 people per screen, or 50% of what the screen is. So it could be, and they said whatever is lower, that's going to be what we limit each screen to. So the entertainment industry is, I mean, so much productions have been halted. Paul Schrader's movie was stopped literally 5 days before wrap. There's so many productions. I mean, obviously Mission Impossible was stopped.
A lot of my buddies, I'm sure a lot of your buddies that are working in the industry are kind of fucked right now.
Yeah. And
a friend of mine that's a set dresser on a Hulu show, they were like, they arrived and they were essentially told, yeah, go home. we'll figure out payment, but we won't be like we're halting production for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and that's what I'm noticing
Or
is that it's like it's indefinitely. No one knows when things are going to get better. And and the thing is, on a set, you're always around so many people. There's always lots of people there, and if Tom Hanks can get coronavirus on a set, so can anybody else.
I think my favorite part of this entire thing is seeing the horrible films that are being made right now, and their productions being halted, like the Baz Luhrmann
Oh
Elvis
yeah,
biopic that Tom Hanks was in. Yeah, it sounds like a piece of shit, dude. I'm gonna
yeah.
be honest with you. That sounds horrible. It sounds like maybe the worst film idea that I've ever heard. Baz Luhrmann being one of my least favorite directors, of course. But also you see gems like B.J. Novak's thriller Vengeance, which sounds like a white
Oh
guy
yeah,
avenging his black girlfriend in the South, like it's a revenge fantasy or something like that. Did you see that?
yeah. I saw that. Yeah,
Starring B.J. Novak.
yeah.
Jeez, so like he's like a guy that like is ugly and hot at the same time, but like mostly ugly, dude. He's like a weird. He's a weird man. He looks AI. He looks like AI generated, or maybe like a Grand Theft Auto 5 character, just like exaggerated all his features. His eyes are all fucked. Oh, can I curse on the stream? Can I curse?
Well, I mean, you did. Like, let's keep the
Ah,
cursing down to a
minimum.
minimum.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Now, if you go on my Discord, you'll notice that I really do not have a filter on what I say, but on streams, I do tend to filter my language. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
I'll make sure to do that.
So with this entertainment, with this whole entertainment industry, obviously we can go into speaking of how people in this industry work on like a gig economy. So it's not like people are. Oh no, PG Novak isn't white. It's not like it's not like it's not like you have a W-2 in some cases. I mean, sometimes it's 1099. People work freelance, and it's not like you're employed by the studio to work full time. It's kind of like you're employed to work on that one movie. So if that movie isn't being made, you're not being paid. And I mean, that's a big issue. I know some people are really freaking out. Even people who you might think are more financially well off can't find work, are really afraid of their finances in these times. And of course, all these movies are being pushed because no one wants to go to the cinemas, and it's also shutting down production. So I feel like what's going to happen is we're going to have movies that have maybe already been made just getting put online. The smaller films where they can make their money back online, like The Invisible Man and like Emma and whatever, movies that really didn't cost a whole lot to make, Blumhouse movies and stuff. And then what we're going to see happen is all these big movies are going to be pushed to later in the year, and there might be a gap. There might be a gap in movies being in the cinema, because if no movies are being made for like several months, then that's you know what I mean? Like we're going to catch up to that later on.
I think personally, this is going to be revolutionary. Seeing the changes and adjustments that these studios are going to have to make within the coming months, for as long as this, virus shit's going on. Oh, sorry. Virus stuff is going on. I think it's going to be a really good test of what the future could look like, because we are seeing more people staying inside and watching stuff on Netflix.
I don't have
seeing
coronavirus.
Hulu. Oh yeah. Well, listen. Me personally, I've completely quarantined myself. I haven't been outside in about 3 weeks now. My parents have. I'm not sure what their fate is. They're behind 4 inches of solid steel and concrete. Actually bricked myself in my room. I have my Bergman Criterion Collection box set. I only watched Persona, and I only watched that one scene where she's talking about the beach. And I've really isolated myself, and I think I have no chance of getting whatever this is.
Well,
I haven't seen my parents in 2 days. I saw them, their faces were pale and they were crying. But,
All right, I'm gonna have to stop you there
whatever's
because
gonna happen.
I'm gonna have to stop you there because I don't want you talking about just your normal life.
Okay, sorry. I felt I had to go in, but what was I saying?
This is before the coronavirus. This was the case.
Once you get me once you get me started on Corona and quarantine, I start getting the jitters. I currently have my milk and pee bottles lined up around my room, and I'm naked.
Okay. All right,
yeah.
let's get back to talking about these.
Oh,
these
sorry. Anyways, what was I saying? I was saying that this is going to be a very interesting stress test for, the possible streaming economy that's going to be, made by these movies. These movies that are costing, millions and millions of dollars to make aren't making their stuff back, and I'm mostly talking about. And I want to see what A24 does. If they released First Cow, I think on streaming they would make
their money back. Yeah,
riding this publicity wave too, just saying like A24 releasing their film First Cow, and then maybe just doing a light theatrical run or something like that. I mean, it would make their money back, and everyone would watch it because nobody is wanting to go out. That's the thing. This is the ultimate like determining sort of test to see if this can work. If releasing movies online.
Yeah, well, I just want to pick up. I just want to pick up from where you are. So what we're going to see is a lot of people are there that are going to be staying in, that are going to be streaming movies. They're going to be doing stuff video on demand. I think that indie films might actually get. I think they might get more money and be a bit more successful because indie movies are usually watched on streaming platforms like Amazon Prime and Netflix and stuff like that. And I'm interested to see how this changes how studios market movies, and maybe this will help. Maybe this will help studios understand just how big the market for streaming is, and maybe it'll also take away this Hollywood stigma against streaming services, because obviously we still see in the Academy now how they just have this unbridled hatred for Netflix movies, and even though they'll nominate Netflix films, they almost never give Netflix movies any awards or anything like that. There is a big stigma against it. And this whole thing, everything has to be in the cinema. Well, maybe not. The times are changing, and the most important thing right now is having people watch your movie, whether or not they're paying $20 at the house to see your movie, or they're going to the cinema. People aren't going to the cinema. You got to make your money somehow. So I'm interested to see how this will all play out. But the one thing that's for sure is that production has stopped almost entirely across the board, and we are going to hit a time when there is a gap unless studios are smart and they have movies that they might have done or might be releasing, and they can see that gap and they can release during that gap. We might hit a gap where we really are bare bones as far as movies go.
This is going to be I think this is, honestly, this is going to be the future, in my opinion. This is with the streaming services, being utilized for stuff like Sundance now.
Yeah.
And also the popularity of online festivals just kind of booming.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. My movie was supposed to play in 3 film festivals in this next month. All 3 have been canceled.
Same
3.
Here.
Yeah.
My short. It got into 2, and they both were, I think, pushed to August.
Yeah.
But I already released it on this platform on No Budge.
No Budge.
You can check out if you haven't. It's called How to Without a Doubt Get Rich and Famous in LA. It's a short I made. It's on nobudge.com, which is a streaming. It's a festival streaming site that is basically an online film festival, and I really enjoy it because it looks bougie and it looks pristine, but it's streaming. I don't need to, you know, tell people that it's at, you know, it's in Locarno or something like that. It's available, and I think that's the future right there. I mean, people are starting to care less and less about prestige when it comes to things, and we just want to see it. And I think you know, once we sort of bridge that gap in theatrically released films, once we sort of just you know, allow films to be seen online and seen by everyone, it's going to be an influx of money. And it's going to be, I think it's just going to be better for movies in general.
Yeah.
So I think that's the number one thing that's stopping people from seeing like good movies. My coworkers always, you know, they always ask me, or you know, always ask me, just like, are there any good movies out? You know, because I'm that movie guy.
Yeah.
You know, but I always tell them, just like, you know, they're available, they're out there. You just
Yeah.
need to, like,
Hey,
let's pass the popcorn account. You know,
let's start bringing people in.
Sure, let's do it.
Get on Discord, because some of these guys left Discord to come in.
And speaking of movies, let's I guess let's transition into our main thing, which is movies to watch when you're covered in Lysol, laying in bed, bundled up. You have your catheter in. You are trying not to move, as to you know, stir the possible coronavirus in the air in your room.
Yeah. Hey, Ju.
These are some movies here that you want to watch.
Yeah. So I'm just inviting some people to the
Sweet. Yeah.
to the voice chat right now to talk. Let me see. Permissions. Yeah, so I'm allowing anyone who's view channel, connect, speak. Wait a sec. Hey, Ju, how's it going? Yeah, so Malachite says Todd Haynes' Safe might be a good pick. You know, I haven't seen it, but I almost watched that last night because it's on the Criterion channel. They have the Criterion version of it up there, so I might give that a watch.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Todd Haynes, and I can't believe
me
I haven't
too.
seen Safe. Have you seen Safe?
No, Jay hasn't seen Safe.
Oh man, we all need to watch Safe. That'd be kind of cool. I wish we actually watched Safe before we.
Yeah, I loved his film. I loved his film Wonderstruck. That was Todd Haynes, I think. And
I love that. I love the film with
the lesbians.
Yeah, I like that one. Where they baby.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my first films that I have for quarantine movies. So I was thinking, and the way that I was thinking about this, right, was like, like movies that will just suck away all your time. You know, like not watching like all these 90-minute movies or whatever, your little novellas of films. I'm talking about watching big boy, several hour-long movies.
Yeah, this is one of the only times you can watch, you know, something like Satan Tango.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't have that on my list, but I'm definitely going to watch that during the quarantine because I haven't seen that. It's 7 hours long, right?
It is.
Yeah,
it is 7 hours long. Extremely sad. I feel such a sense of dread when I'm watching it, and I like to not talk about the movie, especially if you haven't.
I can't speak about it because I haven't seen it. But
by the way, breaking news: Idris Elba's tested positive for coronavirus.
Yeah, I heard that.
I didn't hear that at all.
Rip to our boy Idris. He was with Justin Trudeau's wife, who tested positive, and that's where he got it from. Ooh. Most likely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the tea.
She was getting
she went to she was good. But okay,
Yeah.
so here's the movie that I have at the top of the list, and that is War and Peace by Sergei Bondarchuk. I might do a video on War and Peace. Actually, I've been thinking about doing one. And so the War and Peace movie in America, I think, is like 3 hours long. The one with Audrey Hepburn, but the Soviets went all out, right? And there's over 120,000 extras. It's 7.5 hours long. It's like, it's insane. The movie, they literally mobilized the entire Red Army for the battle scenes, and it's shot on 65 millimeter film. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's like this mix of war epic and also kind of like Terrence Malick type, like introspective sort of style. But Sergei Bondarchuk actually almost died on set. He had a heart attack. He had to be revived while directing the film. And it took something like 5 years to shoot. Like, not even just to make, but like the shoot was like 5 years long. And this was the Soviets basically trying to out-epic the Americans. And the movie came out, I want to say 1969. It came out in the late 60s, early 70s. Not in the 70s. It was like in the late 60s, yeah. And it won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Film. But it is honestly the most epic movie you will ever see in your life. It's 7.5 hours long. But the good thing about it is that it is broken up almost like a mini series. So it's broken up into 4 parts, but they all flow as one. But like part one's like 2.5 hours, and another one's like 2 hours long and stuff. At the end of the day, it's 7.5 hours. So, that can be you wake up, you watch War and Peace, and then you eat dinner and go to bed.
Yeah. Same with Tango. I think this is also a great time to check out, if you haven't seen it, but you've seen the video on the Kino Corner channel. I would say check out Decalogue if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so Decalogue is another great movie / series. So for anyone who is maybe new to my channel, this channel basically started out as a Decalogue channel. Like if you go back to my earlier videos, I have Decalogues 1 through 9, although I think that my videos on Decalogue 3 and 4 got copyright claimed and they got blocked. But those are up on my Vimeo. I didn't really feel like going back and editing them because at that time I had something like 50 subscribers. And so it's just like, whatever, I don't care. And I just uploaded them to my Vimeo for anyone who is interested. I still need to do a Decalogue 10 video, and I was thinking of doing it more as like a more normal sort of video essay here in the future. And so Decalogue is a series of 10 movies. It's not exactly a show, it's a series of 10 films, because the films aren't really connected to each other, except in the fact that they're all in the same apartment block in Poland, in the 80s. And there are overlaps, between characters, like.
Yeah, but there's an angel and stuff like that. There's different, sort of. It's different. It's connected sort of themes, throughout the entire thing, but different stories, and they're all based on the 10 Commandments itself.
Yeah. So it's based on the 10 Commandments, but it's kind of funny. It's not exactly because Kieślowski said it's not exactly like the 10 Commandments in order, and it's not like one commandment is in each film. I mean, you can point to one of the movies, and you can say, oh, it definitely has to do with this commandment. But there are other stuff, mixed in. Kieślowski was a very smart filmmaker. None of these episodes or films, or whatever you want to call them, are just surface level type of films. They're very, very deep. And you'll watch like one, and in 60 minutes or less than 60 minutes, Kieślowski is able to pack in more content and more thought than most films can do in 3 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kieślowski definitely utilized the miniseries to express I mean, so many ideas of what what life means,
Yeah.
what he critiqued just sort of like the current Soviet rule of Poland at the time. I mean,
Yeah,
it's completely just doomed. The entire film, every character in the film was just completely doomed. But I mean, it's
well, here
you
we
know,
have in the chat, Malachite is dropping some red pills, some massive red pills in the chat.
but
If let me check the Discord really fast and see if anybody else wants to hop on. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody else is on Discord. Okay, yeah, no, Malachi, he says the Black Death came from China too. I just rewatched the Seventh Seal to commemorate this fact. Yeah, I mean, Seven Seals also another good film. If you guys have the Ingmar Bergman collection, I don't actually. I have a story
I
about it.
do. I do. I need to watch all my movies
Just
now.
watch all the Bergman films, and of course, there's plenty of really long Bergman films like Fanny and Alexander. That's great. I haven't seen Scenes from a Marriage, but I want to. That's
It's absolutely. I mean, it's what Marriage Story tried to be, down to the cinematography. That was based off of oh, what's his name? This guy wrote this amazing book that I really want to buy.
Sven Nykvist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sven Nykvist, who inspired cinematographers like the guy who shot Being John Malkovich and
Hey,
man,
I mean, he inspired a lot of people. Sven did.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, his use of like natural lighting, and everything. Yeah,
So I want to talk about a film that I watched this last weekend. That's another, I think, good film for the quarantine, just because it's very long, and that is, and also I maybe it also kind of addresses a lot of our fears right now. Is Wim Wenders' Until the End of the World? So I watched that this weekend. It's 4 hours and 47 minutes long, and it stars William Hurt, Sam Neill, and Max von Sydow, rest in peace. And it also stars this French woman. I don't really know her name, but she's kind of the main character. And the soundtrack was all made for the film. It's actually a really good soundtrack. It's got like Talking Heads. It's got Talking Heads. It's got like Patti Smith. It's got Lou Reed, U2, REM. Just a whole bunch of big bands. They did this, and it's Wim Wenders, and he saw it as like the ultimate road trip movie. But the whole point of the film, or the whole setup for it, is that there's this satellite, this Indian satellite that's like gonna hit the Earth and cause like this massive, almost like extinction event. So people are just going crazy, and they're evacuating from any kind of possible crash zones and stuff like that. So we find this woman whose life is like not doing so great, and and as she's fleeing one of these crash zones from Venezia, she runs into these bank robbers, and then that takes her to Paris, and then she finds this guy named William Hurt who's on the run from the U.S. government, and then she's chasing after him. And basically the story takes you all the way from like Venice to like southern France to Paris to Berlin to Moscow to Siberia to China to Japan to San Francisco to Australia and then to space. It's like this this road trip movie that just kind of goes like, whoa. And then the second half of it gets super trippy. I don't really want to spoil anything for you guys, but so maybe this is a mild spoiler, but there's a whole sequence where they're literally photographing their dreams. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, it's definitely a Wenders movie. Is it how you say it? Wenders? I think it's a V sound. But it's definitely one of his films. If you've seen Paris, Texas, Kings of the Road, Wings of Desire, I mean, all great movies. Kings of the Road is another great road trip movie. He actually didn't have a script. And there's a funny story about Kings of the Road because it became infamous for one particular scene. And Preston, do you know what scene I'm talking about?
No, I haven't seen Kings of the Road, man. I think the only Wenders film I've seen is Paris, Texas.
Okay.
So horrible.
So in Kings of the Road, there's a scene where in the script, what it was supposed to be is a guy gets out of his truck right? The main character gets out of his truck, and he pisses on the side. He pees on the side of the road. Well, they did this take, right? And the guy and he was actually peeing is the thing. It was a super small crew, and then after they did the take, his AC told him that it was all out of focus, and then he got really pissed off because the guy was like, "I don't have anything left in me," and so vendors got pissed off, and he said to the actor, he said, I don't care what you do. Take a shit for all I care." So in the next take, the guy literally pulled down his pants and took a shit, and so he filmed that, and then he put it into the movie, but always with the idea that he was going to cut it out, right? So he had this scene in the movie of the guy actually pooping, and you see everything, and he was going to cut it out. But then he forgot about that scene because it's like 3 hours long. The movie is very long. And so he premiered it at the Cannes Film Festival. And, of course, everyone notices this scene because this wasn't done in movies before. So then it becomes the talk of Cannes because it's like Vendor's new movie literally shows a guy pooping. And he said that at that point, he had totally forgotten that scene was in the film, but he goes, at that point, I had to defend it. So then he was like, yes, no, this is a natural thing. Everyone does it. Why are you like this? I mean, if everyone does this, you know what it's like, and blah, blah, blah. I'm breaking boundaries. And, he started playing that angle. But the reality was that, he completely forgot that, he completely forgot that it was in the movie. And he just had to roll with it when people saw it. All right, I want to read some of the comments here. So Malachite says, King to the Road is my favorite Vendors film. Yeah, no, I love King to the Road. I had a great time watching it. There are some really amazing scenes. Jared Wignall says, that's both hilarious and disgusting. Yeah, I agree. Malachite, and this is in reference to Until the End of the World. I haven't seen it, but it seemed to evoke Sans Soleil a bit. I haven't seen Sans Soleil, but I'm a fan of Chris Marker. I like La Jetée. Snooper says, what will be the Grand Kino starring B.G. Cumby what will be the Grand Kino starring B.G. Cumby? When will his Citizen Kane be? Hey, so if you guys want to know actually a project that Cumby and I are working on, now Creston and I are working on a few projects together. We have a short so we have a short film that we wrote. I don't know when we're going to be shooting it in light of recent events.
That has been put on indefinite hold.
It's been put on indefinite hold, but we got Surreal Entertainment's going to do a little thing in there, and Rusty Cage is, when we eventually get around to it, Rusty Cage is going to do one of the songs, and it's a parody of like Back to the Future, but it's kind of like done like a Tim and Eric style, MDE style sort of video, I would say. And we wanted to shoot this on 16mm film because it's basically like a parody of Back to the Future Part 3, but if it was an MDE video. That's what I would say.
It's like if Hodorowski was really based in Red Pilled.
Yeah.
If only. That would be my descriptor for the film.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very like El Topo-ish.
Very much. Naked boys and everything. It's gonna be quite the little movie. I'm not. Let's not say much, but
I don't want to give away too much, but Cumby and I are also talking about doing some sort of documentary style, or like This Is Spinal Tap style documentary, where he's kind of playing one of the main characters, and I think that could also be really funny. So Tim Film comes in here. He says, "I love your video on Bresson. Thank you very much. I think it's so strange that not many filmmakers after him adapted his idea about models instead of actors, because I think the cinema with movie stars can be really problematic because you only focus on their acting and totally forget the formal aspects of the film." Yeah, I agree. There's a problem with like professional actors in film, and the problem is that when you go to see a Tom Cruise movie, no matter if Tom Cruise is the Mummy, or if he's Ethan Hunt, or if he's the dude in Edge of Tomorrow or whatever, he's always Tom Cruise. Whenever you see Liev Schreiber, you always think that's Liev Schreiber, the guy with transgender kids. And whenever you see,
my man is kissing his children. That is really weird.
Yeah, he's kind of a weird. He seems like a weird dude. When you see these movies with these really well-known actors, you don't think of them as the character. There is this sort of this weird thing that happens where when you recognize them, it's hard to understand them as the character. There are some actors that kind of transcend this. Like I think that Joaquin Phoenix really is usually believable, and you don't really think of him as Joaquin Phoenix, but as his characters, like Freddie Quell or Arthur Fleck or the Inherent Vice guy. Or Joker. And but that is a problem with actors and people generally. Like when they watch movies, I notice a lot of film reviewers, what they focus on is they focus almost solely on the script and the acting. There's not a lot of movie reviews, especially on YouTube, that focus on really much more than that. Unless it's like some bad movie and they want to point out how the sound design is bad, or you know what I mean? Or like they're like, where did you get this sound effect from? Or something like that. It's like, okay, who cares? The movie was made for $10,000. Like, of course, you use stock sound effects. But like on these bigger movies, people are like, well, the acting was good, and I like the story. Or on the other side, they're like, I'm gonna make an 8-hour stream about why I don't like Star Wars.
People are. Can we just talk about like
no particular person?
Oh my gosh.
No particular person comes to mind. But that's Kino I would not suggest watching during the quarantine.
Oh my gosh, man!
That's not Kino.
I meant to bring this up. on the first stream I was on, but the whole field of online film criticism
is stupid.
Absolutely, I think everything. Like you can say like, oh, half of the bet. No, not even them, dude. Everyone sucks. Like every single one of those guys sucks. It's just.
Here's the thing. Okay, all right, guys. What is film criticism? Like, let's really think about this.
Let's really think about it. Let's break it down.
Okay, I know that we're a little off topic here, but I want to like put my philosophy forward. There are two kinds of film criticism. Okay, there's the film critics that review a movie before everyone's seen it. So all they really have to say, right? The only question they have to answer is this movie worth your money and your time? That's all. That's all that they have to either say or answer. They go and see this movie at the cinema, and they say, you know what, this movie is worth a $7 or $10, or if Creston's out in LA, $25 cinema ticket. Yeah,
$30, $40. Alamo Draft House beer and burger combo.
Well, no, at the ArcLight in West Hollywood, it's $18 per ticket, I think. But that's like the base. That's not even like IMAX. You're gonna be paying $25-$30. But
sometimes like for the Q&A when I went to Beach Bum, like the Q&A and everything cost a little, I think, $25, $30.
Yeah, that's unless Quentin Tarantino's movie theater, the New Beverly, I think that's $10, and that's always $10.
And if you show up barefoot, you essentially get in for free.
It's really nice. Based and red-pilled. But anyways, so that's the first kind of film critic you have, right? The second kind of film critic is, I think, what my channel maybe falls into, and that's looking back on movies and just sort of trying to dive deeper into movies that people have already seen. And it's always funny to me when I get comments of like, oh, you should have put a spoiler warning. I'm like, this movie's been out. If you're gonna like watch a video essay on something that's been out for months and obviously it's already out on home video, I'm not going to be telling you whether or not to watch the film. I've already assumed that you've made the decision to watch it, or you've made the decision to not watch it, and now you're coming to my video for this one purpose or another. And
I think the populism promoted by these online reviewer people is just completely toxic. It gives people such a superiority complex with everything, and you see this in YouTube comments. You see this in Reddit stuff. People saying they're disappointed in films. I understand that, but I feel that people don't understand the effort that goes into these things. People don't understand that you can't tell if a movie's going to be good or bad when you're making it. It just I don't know. And then just like I'm doing right now, just posturing and stuff. People posture way too much with all these more, I guess, non-traditional films.
Yeah, and I think too. I think
the headline culture is completely dominated.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, let's take a look at like my channel, right? I do a video on Tampopo, nobody watches it. I do a video on The Lighthouse, almost 100,000 views. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I can talk about movies that I really like. Now, I love The Lighthouse, but whenever I go back and I do a video on a movie that is older, I still think is very interesting, and still I think has something to say. People just aren't interested, and so online film critics, they want to just have more views, and so they're, you're not going to get like YouTube criticism or good YouTube criticism about like the very small movies that might have a lot to say. You're going to get bad to okay criticism of big movies that have nothing to say. And exactly. that's the state of things. But I don't want to like, I don't know. I can get really worked up about this, but I want to get onto more movies. So I made a list today of movies to watch for various reasons. And now I want to start off with a movie that probably none of you have seen, and that is Tape by Richard Linklater. Have you seen that, Creston?
Tape by Richard Linklater, huh?
Yeah. So
that seems interesting.
For a very specific purpose, the film was shot on a budget of $100,000. Stars Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, and that guy from the Dr. House show. Not House, but like his medical partner. He was also in Dead Poets Society. I always forget his name. Like, I can see his face, but I don't know his name.
Oh.
You know that guy. So the entire film takes place within one motel room, and it's shot on a tape. So this was made at a time when Richard Linklater could not get any real funding to movies, so he made all these kind of weird art house films like Waking Life. But Tape, it takes place all in one hotel room, and it's adapted from a play, and it's very interesting in how it plays out. It's actually quite engaging. But the reason why I'm putting this on the list of quarantine movies is because it's essentially about two guys trapped in a hotel room.
I actually I think I got this one and Sex, Lies, and Videotape confused for the longest time. Then I watched Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I was thinking. It is like a one location thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a one location thing. So another movie that I wanted to point out, well, as many of you know, I am probably the biggest fanboy of Terrence Malick. Yeah, I'm probably the biggest fanboy of Terrence Malick. So I'm obviously going to say watch the extended version of The Tree of Life if you have it or can gain access to it. It's a new cut. It was a joke maybe like 2 years ago that was like, Terrence Malick, announces Tree of Life 2 now with more trees during the whole Despacito 2 meme. And then it was like right after that, he announced that he was releasing an extended cut of The Tree of Life.
I think that everyone, now that you're either in school, out of school, maybe your job is halted, you just have extra time. I think that everyone should watch Solo, in my opinion.
We're gonna get to that. I think I'll be talking about that with Justin Wang in the future at some point, because he and I talked about that in the DMs the other day.
You're gonna need to get me on that app, dude. You're gonna need to get me on that app. Solo is one of my personal favorite date night movies. Go to a lady, let her know what's up. You know,
Oh yeah. Oh, I know.
give her.
Anyways, moving on. Obviously the other Malick movies I would really suggest watching if you want to just kill a lot of time is The Thin Red Line, which is just amazing. I mean, like, I don't want to spoil any, like, it's about Guadalcanal. Just go in not knowing what you're getting into. And if you haven't seen Malick before, I would say start with The Thin Red Line. Or start with Badlands or Days of Heaven. I'm actually going to be doing a video on Badlands next week. So that'll be my next. I'm doing a video on Uncut Gems this week. Next week is going to be Badlands. So maybe start with Badlands. But Thin Red Line, definitely get to that. And watch the extended version of The New World with Colin Farrell and Christian Bale. That's really good. And it's like 4 hours long. It's really long, but it's a beautiful film. And, I honestly, like, a lot of people, they do say it's kind of a minor Malick, and maybe it's not as good as Tree of Life or Thin Red Line, but I mean, come on, those are like two of the best movies ever made. So saying that it's not as good as like the best movies ever made,
I did immensely enjoy Knight of Cups.
Night of Cups was cool, actually. I liked Night.
I really, really like Knight of Cups. I appreciate the cinematography. A lot of these later Malick films, because they all feel I was watching The Beach Bum last night again with some friends of mine on Discord, and I made a little observation, a little humorous observation that the whole film looks like it's a Grand Theft Auto 5 cutscene, mostly because of the almost like sort of tracked, motions within a plane. You know how a lot of this animation works with video games. And I think Pixar is starting to do it now. Is they're starting to use a shoulder rig to track the motion of an invisible camera within the space.
Yeah.
And they use a very wide lens and everything, right? So it felt like the whole movie was kind of shot like this. It felt like a Grand Theft Auto 5 cutscene. Knight of Cups just feels like a video game cutscene. That's what I really, really like about it. It feels like it's you're just in the head of something.
Yeah.
It feels like you're there and not there at the same time.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
Oh, here Malachite says, my order: The Tree of Life, The Thin Red Line, Days of Heaven, Badlands, The New World.
Nice.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that, actually. Although, what's great about Badlands is Terrence Malick acts in it.
Yeah, he shows up to the door and
he shows up to the door, and it's like there's not a whole lot.
Mind if I go in there? And they're like, no.
Yeah, it's actually a funny scene, and I'm gonna be doing a whole video on the making of Badlands, because that was an absolute, I'm gonna cuss right here, that was an absolute shit show of a set. Like the stories behind how that movie was made is actually hilarious. It's amazing that the film even got made in the first place. And I mean, I'm glad it did. It's a great movie. But anyways, I want to hop onto another film here. Okay, so here's another good movie that probably most of you have seen. That's good to watch during the quarantine. You can do a double feature of Kill Bills Volume 1 and 2, and I'm just gonna hop in and say 2 is better than 1. That's my opinion.
2 is better than 1, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, two has definitely like 1. I would say, actually, visually, I even like 2 better, because 2 has different visual styles, and it's got more of the Western aesthetic to it. It feels more like a fleshed out film. 1 is kind of like, 1 just feels like a much smaller movie than 2. 2 feels like, almost like, to me, it feels epic. I know people say that they think that 2 is more boring, but I actually felt like there's a lot more substance in 2 than there was 1. Although I'm not going to say I don't like 1. 1's very cool, but it's very cool, and maybe 2 isn't as cool, but it's definitely got more substance.
I definitely think that 2 has more of a I don't know, and it is a different feel to it. It doesn't feel as poppy and sort of fast paced. It is a very it's a more slow burning Western, which I really do like.
Yeah, and that's more my style anyways. Like, I don't like these movies that move so quickly that I feel, you know what I mean? Like, now some movies they kind of do, and it really does work for them. Like with Uncut Gems, it does move quickly, but there still is there's a lot of stuff going on, and there is a lot of substance to what's going on, and it moves quickly for me. But I can imagine somebody who might not be like on like I watch a lot of very slow paced movies, so it moves quickly for me. But maybe for somebody who's not as into
What I really liked about Uncut Gems is the ebbs and flows throughout that entire film. I really did feel like you felt Howard was going in and out of like his in and out of what he feels in and out of his I guess his ideal life, or what he feels to be his true life. I think that the sort of the sadness that comes after leaving the apartment, going back to his house and taking the trash cans in, and that kind of slowing everything down as he goes to Rosalind's for the rock with his father-in-law and his what was that, his nephew, the guy who wanted a picture with Kevin Garnett, and had a bunch of stuff for him to sign.
Oh yeah, so here's the thing about Uncut Gems is that actually if you think about it plot wise, it actually moves kind of slow.
Absolutely, yeah.
It moves slow plot wise, but there's just so much going on that's really not plot related that really kind of creates this frenetic energy, and I really like that. But let's hop on to another movie. Here's another film that I'm going to definitely say watch because it's very long, and that's A Brighter Summer Day. Or really, I don't think you've seen that, but I haven't seen Yi Yi.
Yi Yi is absolutely astounding. I think Yi Yi is, it's a film that I think everyone should watch. It feels so, even though it takes place halfway across the world, the themes that come across from this family are so relatable to everyone.
Yeah.
You have...
no, Edward Yang is great. I've only seen A Brighter Summer Day, but he hasn't made that many movies, I don't think.
He only made a few before he passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah, he died at 54. Was that from HIV? Is that what he died of?
I think he died of like a heart attack or something.
Really? Yeah, gosh.
Let's look it up right now.
And he died when he was 54, right? Wasn't he 54 years old? Because I have like this conspiracy theory.
Yeah, he died when he was 59.
Oh, 59. Because see, here's the thing. Andrei Tarkovsky.
Colon cancer.
Colon cancer. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, poor guy.
That's awful.
Poor
He's one of my...
colon hurts.
Yeah, that is terrible. You just joined back in. JU.
What?
Oh, hey, Ravful's in the chat. Cool. But yeah, so Yi is great. Well, according to Creston. A Brighter Summer Day is great, according to me. And so Edward Yang, just binge Edward Yang. Here's another. Someone's also suggested The Shining because of the whole cabin fever element to it. It's a good movie. I really like The Shining. But I'll probably be watching it again. You know what's funny is I'm seeing all these like new editions of The Shining, right? 4K Ultra HD. Blah, like you're gonna get the 4K Ultra HD version of The Shining, and I don't know what people expect. Like, there's gonna be more film grain. Yeah. Like that's what it means. Is they're gonna now? I like the film grain personally, but I can just imagine a boomer like putting in into this 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player and then seeing how there's more grain. He's like, what is this? This is low resolution.
It's just like an upped quality scan, and it's just I think my favorite like genre 4chan thread, I guess, or type of 4chan thread is the Blu-ray sort of like rating things. You ever see those? Where they're just like uploading scans of like RoboCop.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. They just add pointless filters and like flares to restorations of like
that's so stupid.
New 4K
Why?
HD. Make more money. Just make it look different so people can tell there's a quality difference. But like money.
It just ruins it. In my
It just does. It
All
looks
right.
bad.
So guys, guys, I am also gonna make. Now, this movie that I'm gonna suggest comes there. There's a grain of salt with this next movie I'm gonna suggest. I'm watching for the quarantine. Another very long movie. If you're really into film, if you're really into film history. Now, I have this movie on the Criterion Blu-ray, so I spent $50 on it. It was one of the more expensive ones. I would say watch it, but if you're not, I would say it's probably safe to stay away, unless maybe you're just bored and you want something to put on. But I watched this movie in one sitting, and it was, you know what? There are parts of it that were great, and there are parts of it that really weren't. And that is Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate. Now, for people who are into film history, this is the movie that bankrupted United Artists. And essentially what happened is Michael Cimino had this, huge success with The Deer Hunter. Won Best Picture, it won a lot of stuff. So then United Artists said to him, okay, you basically have carte blanche for your next film. So he made Heaven's Gate, and it went way over budget, and it was so long. I mean, how long is... Okay, I'm just going to look up...
3 hours and something, man. It's way too long. It's really long.
I thought it was even longer than that. I'm looking this up. Heaven's Gate. Now, this is not to be confused with Gates of Heaven, which is the documentary. As I say that, I literally click on Gates of Heaven in IMDb. 3 hours and 39 minutes. Yeah. Now, it's a pretty epic film. There's really great sequences in it, but it does go on for too long. Oh yeah, 5 hours 20. That was the version I saw. Yeah, I saw the 5 hours and 25 minute version. Yeah, let me see. Technical specs. Yeah, so actually, no, 3 hours and 37 minutes. No. Where did I get the 5 hour thing? Yeah, no, Malachi is right. He says there were successful movies of the time that were far worse. He didn't deserve the crap he got. Yeah, but when you're talking about Hollywood, you're talking about people who really care about money. And when you bankrupt one of their companies, people aren't really gonna forgive you for that. But no, I mean, Heaven's Gate's not a bad movie. That's the thing. It's not a bad movie. It's definitely too long. But if you have a lot of time and you want to watch a film that's historically, I would say it's historically very important, then yeah, for sure, watch it. I mean, after I watched it, I wasn't like, I want that 4 hours back. No, I wasn't like that. And I think it also goes to show the time, and because there were movies that were longer, like the epics, that obviously did super well. These like Lawrence of Arabia. I know Jared brought that up. It's like almost 4 hours. Like you have whatchamacallit? What's the Spartacus, which is 3.5 hours long, and you have all these big movies that came out in the 50s and 60s that were super long, but people had a different idea of like going to the cinema because you like in the 40s and 30s people would go and see like double features plus shorts. They were spending 5-6 hours in a cinema. So that's what they wanted when it went to just one movie, and so like people wanted to spend a lot of time in the cinema because they want to get their money's worth. So they, so these big epics were made basically to keep people in the cinema because that's what they were used to in a sense. But when you got to the 60s, kind of the rise of independent movies got a little bit shorter, and then by the time that Heaven's Gate came out, the problem was that the model that they had and the mindset of your typical moviegoer was really not equipped to watch a movie as long as Heaven's Gate. Now, I think that did
the roadshow model failing.
Yeah.
Clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of saw that come back, I would say, in like the early 2000s, because obviously the Lord of the Rings, they were all 3.5 hours long, and they all did super well. And and then for a while, like these big blockbuster movies were 2.5. But I think that basically what's fizzled out since, what's kind of is that these bigger budget movies will be between 2 and 2.5 hours in length, and the lower budget movies are going to be between 80 minutes to 2 hours. And these prestige films usually are within like an hour 40 minutes, like 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I also want to bring up, because this actually goes into another film I wanted to bring up, which is the new film, which is The Irishman, which is 3 hours and 40 minutes. I really liked The Irishman. I really did. But I think that its length kept it from winning any Academy Awards, because I think that people just generally didn't watch it. Like there was the statistics that said something like only 19% of people watched the film all the way through. It was something.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was something
Seriously?
like that. Yeah, plebeians, a lot of them. I watched the film twice.
How long was it?
It's 3 hours and 40 minutes.
It's not terrible.
No, I mean, yeah. Heaven's Gate was the last film in New Hollywood, says Malachite. Yeah, I would say it did kind of end it. Well, you had I'd say that the last hurrah of New Hollywood, there was Heaven's Gate. Raging Bull was the same year. In the 80s, American film, I know that a lot of people are super nostalgic for American film in the 80s, hence Stranger Things. But I actually think it took a big downturn in the 80s, especially mainstream movies, I think took a bit of a downturn in the 80s. Because, I might do a video on this later, but because of Star Wars and how Star Wars kind of introduced this idea of using movies to sell toys, and to sell merchandise and that sort of thing. So, whatever. That's the thing for another video. A lot of people say that Jaws started the blockbuster, and it kind of did, but Star Wars kind of perfected it, to where a blockbuster is not just a movie, but it's a whole, almost like horizontal integration of things, merchandise, movies, park rides, all that kind of stuff. And, but anyways, yeah, The Irishman is great. It's on Netflix. You can watch it. Now, if any of you have the Criterion channel, there are plenty of good, and long movies there, and plenty of just good extra content. And what I like to do with a movie, especially if I really like the film, is watch all of the bonus features and listen to the director's commentary, if there is a director's commentary. Sometimes the commentary is from somebody else, who worked on the film. Criterion channel is not in your country. Are you in Portugal? Yeah. I think the Criterion channel actually uses Vimeo. So it's actually it's all Vimeo based. And what was funny is, hey, Francisco, so when I was in Europe, I could use Criterion channel without using a VPN. Actually, if I used a VPN, it blocked me, but if I didn't use a VPN, I could get into it. So maybe you could find a way to get Criterion channel. But at any rate, yeah, so let's go on to some other movies. Barry Lyndon.
Need to see that. Yeah, if you need to see that, this is definitely your time.
Yeah, I would.
3 hours.
Yeah, so
This is the best.
Barry Lyndon is honestly, it depending on the day, it's my favorite Kubrick film. I know that it's I think it's his most underrated as far as what people talk about now. Because when you hear people talk about Kubrick now, they usually talk about 2001, and there's a whole contingent of people that hate 2001 because they say it's boring. I saw it in IMAX, and it was just an amazing experience. I was just overwhelmed watching that in IMAX. And and then you have a lot of people that love The Shining. I would say that's a big one, and A Clockwork Orange. But if you look right in between the two of those, you'll see that there's this movie called Barry Lyndon that's a costume drama, that's a period piece. And I know I've seen the YouTube analytics. You guys are 95% boys, right? Boys, 18 to 25. That's my entire audience. All right?
The boys.
The boys.
For the fellas. For the fellas.
The men.
The men. Yeah, well, technically men, I guess, unless you guys are lying about your ages.
Unless it's a bunch of all of your girlfriends, which if it is, please.
The Kino lads, Oh yeah, Eyes Wide Shut's great. I love Eyes Wide Shut. That's also very underrated. But anyways, I know you guys are boys, and costume dramas can be icky, right? But Barry Lyndon is cool. Barry Lyndon is awesome. You know how I think of Barry Lyndon. Now it's based on the Thackeray novel, but it also really reminds me of Voltaire's Candide, kind of in how it all plays out. Like it's like this guy in it's like this guy in the 18th century, and it's just like all these misadventures of this guy and how he becomes super wealthy and then loses everything. You know, he's going on this whole like sort of string of like weird random adventures, and it very much flows kind of like, I mean, it kind of reminds me of Candide a bit, but the cinematography of that is just absolutely beautiful. And I know that most of the videos you'll find on YouTube are really about the cinematography, how Kubrick used a NASA lens. It was a T or an F, because I think it was an f-stop
like
lens.
an
f.7.
Yeah, f.7.
Yeah, it was an f.7. And it was f-stop because it was a photography lens. It wasn't t-stop. So here's something for people here who are maybe filmmakers. There is a difference between t-stop and f-stop. T-stop means transmission. So it actually is how much light is hitting the actual sensor. Whereas f-stop will tell you basically how open the aperture is. But anyways, so it was an f.7 lens. And the depth of field was so low on an f.7 because obviously the lower the number, the lower the f-stop, the lower the depth of field. And that they had a whole system of they had a whole system of like monitors, like CRT monitors hooked up to the camera with a grid system on it so that they could know the exact like where the focus was, and actors could not move back or forth while they were using this lens. They could only move side to side, and they had to know like which axis to move side to side on so that they would stay in focus. It was extremely difficult to shoot those shots. But Kubrick shot the shot, you know, and we got Barry Lyndon out of it. And it's just a wonderful film. You know, it's a movie that it's a costume drama. Yeah, maybe that's not like cool, but there are pretty good action sequences. You know, with I mean, I like them. Maybe they're not like action. They're like duels, but they're very tense. You know, and it is a very manly movie. You know, under everything, it's a very manly film.
It's about a man that goes from nothing to everything,
and then back to nothing.
Back to nothing.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, it's Starkiller81 says. Yeah, Starkiller81 says the killing is also great. I would agree. Killing is also great. Malachite says Lyndon has great establishing shots. Yeah, I mean, like take for example, literally the first shot of the film. I mean, it's an amazing shot. Like it's honestly like it's a feast for the eyes. Jared says my favorite Kubrick is Dr. Strangelove. Yeah, I love Dr. Strangelove. You know, I've seen it multiple times, and it is easier to rewatch because it's a comedy and it's shorter. It's like 90 minutes or something, and so I've seen it multiple times. I do really like it. The Killing is great. I don't want to spoil the end of The Killing, but the end of The Killing is one of my favorite like movie ends, especially like classic Hollywood sort of movie ends. And Jared Wignall says, I also saw a double feature of Clockwork Orange in 2001. Wow. Dude. Yeah, nice. That sounds fun, but it also sounds like you'd be exhausted afterwards. So let's talk about here's another 4-hour movie that's amazing, is Once Upon a Time in America. Sergio Leone doing the gangster film and actually really killing it, although there are like new critics, and new as an NU critics, that hate it because of some perceived misogyny. I don't know if you knew about this, Creston.
I've read a couple pieces about this. this whole sort of just like new criticism of older films. I think 1901 is getting criticized too, or 1900, right? Isn't that the film with De Niro and all those guys?
Oh yeah,
And John Cena.
the Bertolucci movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bertolucci is getting owned by the liberal, critique class,
Well,
the New
they
Yorker op-ed class.
they waited. They waited till after he died too. With I've noticed with some critics, and
Yeah, I
here's,
can't wait for all the Polanski hot takes.
Oh
once,
yeah.
passed
From
away.
the people that were praising Polanski, and once he's dead, they're gonna be like, "Oh, his movies are crap."
Yeah, the hot take that Rosemary's Baby is bad is gonna be very cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be epic. Yeah, I mean,
Tess highlighted Polanski's affection for 15-year-old girls. It's like, my man, you need to be quiet. Shut up.
Lars von Trier. Okay, so before I get to Lars von Trier, I also want to say that if you watch all of the honestly any Leone movie, they're so fun. And my wife and I, we watched day after day this last summer. Each night we watched a different Leone movie. So we did like A Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, and the next night The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Now this wasn't the first time that we had seen the films, but we just kind of wanted to watch them all in order and see if we could notice anything. You know what I mean? And it's actually really interesting that you can watch when you watch all three, you see how his production really evolved, how he became a better filmmaker, and that's always fun. It's always fun just seeing a filmmaker just kind of get better and better, and you see what he wanted to do in Fistful of Dollars, maybe didn't have the money to do, that he then did in A Few Dollars More, and then The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly just takes it to a whole new level. Oh yeah, so Malachite says I brought up Trier because he kind of got Me Too'd. Dude, he's been getting Me Too'd ever since he was starting to make movies. Well, his whole thing on the Melancholia at Cannes Film Festival, that he became persona non grata. What I was actually kind of upset about with Lars von Trier is I was at the Berlin Film Festival when he premiered Nymphomaniac. But I was I was standing at the red carpet, and I was like, nothing's going to happen. So I went home, and literally right after I left the red carpet is when Shia LaBeouf went onto the red carpet with the paper bag that said, "I'm not famous anymore." So I missed out on that. I was literally there right before you got there.
My gosh,
Yeah,
man, you missed out on an epic bro moment of legendary proportions.
Yeah, I
Should
missed
have
out.
just done it.
I missed out on the epic meme moment. Now I went back the next year, and I was able to be at the red carpet of the Grand Budapest Hotel. So I learned my lesson to just kind of wait. But yeah, Lars von Trier, I would say that you could possibly do the double feature of Nymphomaniacs Part 1 and 2. And have you guys seen Nymphomaniacs Part 1 and 2?
No.
I need to see the Nymphomaniac, man.
I would say
Peter, I do have to head out.
You have to head out?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Man, I can do some.
Well, thanks
I
for.
have to take care. Of course, man. I'm sorry. I could talk more. I just got
Yeah, for sure. Hey, if anybody else wants to hop on,
send an email now. Yeah.
I'm gonna put a Discord.
Forever miss you.
Hop in, dude. Yeah, absolutely. This has been fun, man.
Here, okay. So I got the Discord link here.
All right, I'll see you. I'll see you, Peter.
All right,
I'll
see you, man.
I'll join it.
Oh my God, love the Kino lads. Yeah, Francisco's been a fan since the beginning. Gotta go. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, see you, man. And so where was I with Once Upon a Time in the West? Yeah, the first 15 minutes are great. And Malachite says I really like Nymphomaniac films, but still need to see the house that Jack built. Yeah, I haven't seen the house that Jack built either. I know that's 3 hours long, and I really want to talk about the film, but I just haven't gotten around to seeing it because it's long. All right, so let's see. Tim Film says, I think Lars von Trier had great ideas with Dogville, Idiots, Breaking the Waves, Dancer in the Dark, but I think The House Jack built is really, really bad and boring. All right, I'll keep that note. I mean, I've heard differing things about the film. I really did like Dancer in the Dark. I really did like that. No Future goes Grand Budapest Hotel, Wes's best low key. Yeah, there are a lot of arguments to say that it is his best. I mean, it's such a great film. And if you like the Grand Budapest Hotel, I mean, while you're in quarantine, I mean, we're here to talk about movies to watch in quarantine, right? So a great thing about Wes is that every time he comes up with a new film, he releases like a list of films that inspired it. So the films that inspired the Grand Budapest Hotel, you can look back at films by like Ernst Lubitsch, you know, like gosh, I just saw Dancer in the Dark. No, like To Be or Not to Be, you know. And then there's a film like Grand Hotel, and there's all these great sort of like classic films that inspired Grand Budapest Hotel. So you can go back and watch those. Just like how I talked about on my Moonrise Kingdom video, that Moonrise Kingdom was definitely influenced by Blackjack, which is Ken Loach film. And if you like Ken Loach, I would definitely suggest also watching Kess. That's probably my favorite from him. So ZCM Zombie Custom Map says, I'm glad that Universal has taken the initiative to put The Hunt and Invisible Man on streaming due to the COVID. Yeah, and also Emma. Yeah, so it's going to be 3 movies, I think, that are currently in cinemas that they are putting on video on demand this week. Yeah, I'll probably check out the others. I saw The Invisible Man. I honestly was not a fan at all. And then let me see, what are the other films that they're putting out? The Hunt. I'm interested to see The Hunt. Now, I heard some people say that some of the lines in it are kind of cringy because it is like a comedy, and sometimes it gets to boomer levels. That's what I heard. Malachite? Yes, I completely
That's not
agree.
what I got from the trailer.
Yeah, it's a comedy. Malachite says, if you watch Cast turn on the subtitles, the accent is unintelligible. That is correct. They're speaking English, but it is not our English. It is something else. Yeah, so that's correct. If you watch Cast, put on the subtitles. Let me see what other quarantine movies I put in my list here. 7 Samurai. Honestly, so you guys are out of school, right? You want to watch movies to kind of get into cinema. I have a list of films that basically is kind of like a beginner's guide, right? Sort of like, let me find this. It's an Excel spreadsheet. I gotta go back and try to find this. Now, it's an Excel spreadsheet I made years ago because my friend was like, hey, can you like make a spreadsheet of like movies I need to watch, like to become a cinephile? So I made this spreadsheet. Now, I've since added to it maybe a little bit. I haven't really kept up with it that much because there's already so many movies on it. And it's kind of like, you know, if you're browsing Criterion Channel or something like that, you want to watch a movie that's going to tell you a lot about cinema. You know, you want to watch a movie, like, you kind of want to watch, like, the fundamentals. Now, all this stuff is Fiche Technique, movie, let me see. Movie Rec. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put a shareable link here to the Google Doc. Now, these are just, it's like basically, so it's directors with movies by them that I personally like. Like, obviously, Ingmar Bergman, I haven't added a whole lot to it. I just have, like, a few movies by Bergman that I think give a pretty good, like, you know, sort of, a pretty good sort of, like, I don't know. You know, like, you get a sense of who Bergman is with it. Same with Akira Kurosawa. And obviously, I don't have, like, Kobayashi in there, which I should. But I just, at this point when I made it, I didn't have it in there, like Harakiri and stuff like that. Great movies like that. But here, anyone with the link can view. I'm going to put this... Royal is not great. Wait. Oh, Royal not great. Okay. What's the best Bergman movie for the quarantine? Maybe Fanny and Alexander. You know, like, just because it's long and it's great. The Seventh Seal, though, I don't know. Maybe the Seventh Seal is more like sort of thematically correct. Seventh Seal or Persona, because, you know, Persona, they're holed away in a house the whole time, and The Seventh Seal is all about the plague. So, and Max von Sydow battling or having a chess match with death. I mean, it's a great film. I don't think it's Bergman's best movie. I mean, I kind of like. I would say maybe my favorite Bergman is Fanny and Alexander, but Persona I love, but Seven Seal is thematically the most correct. Jared says I got to watch Seven Samurai, but meaning to watch it again lately. Yeah, Seven Samurai is great, and as I have in there, like, if you have all this time on your hands, you want to get into movies. You want to become a cinephile. You want to take this time that maybe you didn't have before to just sort of brush up. I mean, I know I'm going to be reading a bit more. I'm going to be writing a lot more, and I kind of want to brush up on things. So watch these movies that you wouldn't have made time for in the past. Like, there's some great sort of small gems by these directors. Like Akira Kurosawa has a film called Stray Dog, which is a noir, and it's great. I mean, not a lot of people talk about it. Also watch The Hidden Fortress, which very much inspired Star Wars, and that's a super fun movie. I wouldn't say it's his best, but it's probably his most like appealing. So if you got like your normie family with you, or your normie friends who are holed up with you, and and they already kind of don't like the fact that you're watching a black and white subtitled film, they'll probably still be able to enjoy The Hidden Fortress. Hidden Fortress is awesome. And, Dreams, maybe, like, I really like Kurosawa's Dreams, but that's not for everyone. So if you're by yourself, or if you're with a person who kind of appreciates those kinds of films, like the more artistic kinds of films, then watch Dreams. Dreams is great. And, Kurosawa, you honestly can't go wrong. Like, if you want to just take this time to sort of like, almost like watch complete the director, that's what I do. So if I really like a director, I try to watch every single one of their films. So I've seen like all the films by the Coen brothers, every Linklater, obviously every Wes Anderson, every Bresson, every Malick, I watch every single one of their movies. And I try to get to really get a sense of the director, to really get a sense of the artist. And the more that you get a sense of the artist, I think that the more that you get a sense of what they do within their art. So the more movies you see by a director, the more you'll see within their films, and the more you can really learn from that. So I would definitely, there's these movies, I know that I was saying, like, here's all these long movies to get you through the day. But also, if you just find a director that really, like, has just a style that you really like the Coen brothers. I love their style. I mean, No Country for Old Men is amazing. Then go and just watch all their films. So Tim says, Ozu Yasuhiro and Chantal Ackerman are also important to get into the movies. That's right, yeah. Tokyo Story, Late Spring, Good Morning. Now, I think the Criterion Channel has a lot of the Ozu stuff on there, and I think they have Chantal Ackerman too. So Zombie Custom Map says, who are your favorite directors working today? I don't know. I really like Paul Thomas Anderson. I really do. I love the Safdie brothers. Now, I would say I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I love the Safdie brothers. Let me see. I really like Robert Eggers. Now, he's only made 2 films, but I really love both of them. So I'm excited to see what he does next. I do really like Trey Edward Schultz. Waves, I thought, was really good. I wasn't expecting it to be that good, but I really liked Waves, and I really did like It Comes at Night. Obviously, I like Wes Anderson, and obviously I love Richard Linklater. But with that being said, every time I hear that one of the directors I really like is releasing a new movie, I don't really get that excited, because I'm always worried it's going to be bad, because it's kind of like this whole thing is I don't get myself excited, so if it's not great, I'm not disappointed at the same time. James Mangold, Gavin O'Connor. So I know James Mangold. I actually really did like Ford versus Ferrari. But I actually wasn't a big fan of Logan. I thought Logan was kind of a just standard sort of Western film. It didn't really do much for me. He says, plus Nolan and Villeneuve. Nolan I have a love-hate relationship with. So Nolan's... There are obviously Nolan doing a video on Nolan's first film, Following, was kind of the first like little push for my channel. And I really do like Following. I like Memento, not as much as Following though. I like The Prestige. I like Inception to a point. I didn't like Interstellar. And here's my problem with Nolan. Nolan has good visuals, especially like Nolan kind of operates in the same sort of space that Kubrick does, right? And I think that Kubrick gets so much love because he had this kind of he had this massive mainstream appeal, and his films are definitely mainstream, but he works in artistic choices. He works in sort of auteurism, I guess. I don't really like the word auteur, but he does. You can say he works in like an auteur sort of aspect to his very mainstream films. So he has this really mainstream appeal, but what I don't like about Nolan is his over-reliance on expository dialogue, to where Interstellar felt like they just kept telling me the story over and over and over and over again and telling me exactly what happened, when all I wanted to do was sit back and watch it. I wanted to see these things like in 2001. It doesn't really explain a lot to you, but it works so much better, and that's why 2001 is still better than Interstellar. Even though Interstellar was shot quite beautifully. I mean, the dialogue in it I didn't think was great, especially the expository stuff. So, but I really like Dunkirk because it stripped that away. And it really kind of, it boiled down Nolan to what I think he does best. And especially manipulating time and making it sort of like this like big, like epic sort of cinematic adventure for you without sort of talking to you the whole time, So that's kind of my relationship with Nolan. Now let me get back to Villeneuve. Villeneuve, again, love-hate kind of relationship. I love Sicario. I really loved Prisoners as well. Villeneuve is good at these sort of really tight thrillers. Now, where I kind of fell off with Villeneuve was with Blade Runner 2049. I thought it was bloated. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. It didn't really need to be. There was so much stuff in Blade Runner that just, I think, sort of took away from the main story and ended up like, I don't know, but I don't know if that's Villeneuve's fault. I don't know if that's Villeneuve's fault. There was this whole fan service aspect to it that honestly, like, it just didn't work for me. Did they need to bring back Harrison Ford and then sort of say, I don't know, like, it was just way too bloated, having the whole like, we're the resistance, we're the rebellion in it. I don't know. I think it would have been better if it was a lot tighter as a film. I don't know if that was Villeneuve's decision though. That could have been the studio, so I don't want to like place that just on him. So let's see. Let's go up because I know I've been ranting for a little bit. Lars von Trier, yeah. Lars von Trier, yeah, I like Lars von Trier. I generally really like Lars von Trier. Some of the stuff I like better than others, but yeah. Malick, yeah, huge fan. Cohen's, huge fan. Spike Jonze is... There has not been anything by Spike Jonze I have not loved. Being John Malkovich, adaptation, Where the Wild Things Are, her. But also, like, you have the time, go check out his short films. He has I'm Here, which stars that guy, Andrew Garfield. That's actually really good. He has a bunch of short films and music videos that are super interesting. PTA, yeah, well, obviously, yeah. Wes Anderson and Fincher, yeah, and Fincher, I like his show Mindhunters. My friend is one of the, an old friend, like a guy that I used to work with. He is one of the serial killers. He's the AT&T or the whatever in the season 2. He's the serial killer in season 2. So it's kind of weird seeing him there. But Fincher. Now, the thing with Fincher, I would say my favorite film from him is Zodiac. I love Zodiac. And I think, I honestly, I just love Zodiac a lot, and I think that Villeneuve, especially like Prisoners, definitely has kind of a feel of that era of Fincher. I like The Social Network. I really liked Gone Girl. I've actually seen Alien 3. I loved Seven. I thought Seven was great. And what was the movie Fight Club? So the funny thing with Fight Club is that it was hyped up to me before, and I think I saw it when I was 17 or 18, and it was hyped up to me beforehand as like the best. Like everyone was saying, this movie's gonna change your life, and I watched it, and my life was not changed. All right, my life was not changed after watching Fight Club, guys. I didn't go and blow up buildings or do whatever, put porn in movies that are shown in the cinemas. No, I thought it was all right. Like I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was as strong as Seven or Zodiac, but I thought it was all right. Yeah, so I do really like Fincher. Although I don't know if I could ever work with him. Like it seems crazy to be shooting. It seems crazy to be shooting like 50 takes of like one thing to get literally the same thing. I'm more of like a Herzog kind of guy where it's like once you have what you want, you just move on. At Herzog, yeah, definitely guys watch Herzog. Fitzcarraldo, Aguirre, The Wrath of God, Nosferatu the Vampire, and he has this really funny movie called Even Dwarfs Started Small, which is about dwarfs just running rampant. This like this compound that they're living in, and there's this scene that's it's hilarious and it's sad at the same time, where the dwarf colony locks these two dwarfs, it's a man and a woman, in a bedroom together, and they want them to have sex. And the one dwarf that they lock in is literally the smallest person in the whole colony. So the woman is able to get on the bed, but the man dwarf cannot get on the bed. And the camera just sits there and watches him as he runs to the bed and tries to jump on it for like a whole minute. Like he just keeps on trying, and then he just gives up, and they end up just looking at magazines. And it's like hilarious and sad at the same time. And then of course the Werner Herzog movie you have to see is Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans. You have to see Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans. Nicolas Cage's performance in that is amazing. And so I was at this class with Werner Herzog last year, and this person there was like, so Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans, that's like one of Nicolas Cage's best movies, right? Best performances. And Werner Herzog, just not missing a beat, goes, it was not one of his best performances. It was his best performance. And then she's like, oh yeah. He goes, he says, it's Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans. He goes, and then many things under it is the movie he won an Academy Award for. And she goes, oh, Leaving Las Vegas. He goes, yes, I did not see it. Like, that's Werner Herzog for you. Check out his movies. He has a lot of great documentaries. Into the Abyss, The Grizzly Man, Little Dieter Needs to Fly. Just a bunch of really great little, not little documentaries. I mean, some of them are short. He has this interesting documentary following like these Nicaraguan tribes people in the Civil War. Yeah, so Tim Film says Gus Van Sant, Jerry and Elephant. I actually haven't seen those. Now, I have seen a lot of behind the scenes of Elephant. I know a lot about it, how it was made, so it's been interesting for me, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Maybe I will in this quarantine. Obviously, because I'm not going to be leaving my... although I work in a clinic, oh my gosh, I'm having to just tell people, all these people that are coughing, wanting to come in, and I'm like, you can't come in, and I have everything locked. Oh, but God, like, these people, they walk in and they're like, hey, we had two families today tell us they're going to Disney World, and they're like, well, Disney World's not going to be closed for like another 5 days, so we really want to make the most of it and go down to Disney World. And I told this lady, I said, are you not like? And she goes, do you think it's a good idea? And I said to this lady today, I said, no, it's a dumb idea. What are you thinking? And she goes, whatever, like the blah, 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 blah. She goes, but all the coronavirus is in Broward County. And I'm like, let me see. Let me look that up. So we looked it up. And it's like, there's a big red zone, like right over Orlando. And I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea. I think you should probably stay home. And then right after she left, we had another family coming in. They're like, we're going to Disney World right now. We'll call you when we get back. I'm like, please don't. Please just self-quarantine yourself. And, and get tested. Don't come here. We don't want you, Like, we don't have the kind of gear to protect us. I'm going to go. I've been going off today. Malachite says Last Days of Cobain-inspired film is the last of that Van Sant trilogy. Yeah, I've heard of that. I do want to see it. Jared Wignall, Rescue Dawn is a great Herzog film. It is. And here's a funny thing is Rescue Dawn is based on his documentary Little Dieter Needs to Fly. And initially, it was actually, he wanted to make Rescue Dawn. So he had the script to Rescue Dawn. And he couldn't get funding for it. Like, nobody wanted to fund it. I mean, it's a good movie. And but a German television studio funded a documentary about this guy, Dieter. So he made this documentary called Little Dieter Needs to Fly. And he actually brought the actual guy, the pilot who got shot down in Vietnam, back to Vietnam, and they recreated they recreated like his like POW stuff, and it was funny the way that, the way that they got whatchamacallit, the way that they got like extras and stuff is they would just go into these villages and Werner Herzog would be like, how much are you being paid today to be a day laborer? And they'd say like $2. He goes, I'll give you $4. he said like, when you're in the middle of the jungle in Vietnam and you're in these villages, he says he would just ask like people what they're getting paid that day, and he would double or triple it for them to basically come and just basically walk with the guy, like, just with little spears and stuff, just walk with him. But it's a great documentary, and it was a documentary that got Rescue Dawn into production. But here's something interesting about it, and something that is quite inspiring about that documentary, is that when he showed it to the German television executive who funded it, right after they watched it, he said that the exec just didn't say anything for a second, and then he said, "Where's the door?" And then as he was walking out, he was talking to Herzog, and he says, "This is the worst movie I have ever seen." And Herzog said to him, "This movie will outlive you." Pretty based moment right there. It's based in red pill Werner Herzog. And so very great movie. Yeah, he says Grizzly Man is my favorite unintentional comedy. All of Werner Herzog movies have some level of comedy in them. Even his documentaries. He has a comedy to everything he does. Also watch the documentary My Best Fiend, which is about his friendship with Klaus Kinski. There are so many movie names dropped. I just need Letterboxd to open while I watch this so I can add to my watch list. Yeah, I know. As long as you just maybe get a few, as long as you maybe get a few. And this is kind of how I look at films, right? So films aren't made in a vacuum, just like books aren't made in a vacuum. Everyone is inspired by things. Everyone takes from other things. Now, a lot of it comes within ourselves, and maybe some of the inspiration is unintentional. We kind of find out about that inspiration later, whatever. How I look at films is look at a movie like Uncut Gems, right? The Safdies are obviously pulling from earlier filmmakers, like John Cassavetes really comes to mind with kind of how they shoot some of their stuff. And so what I do is I watch maybe a modern film and I see where they got their inspiration from, and maybe that takes me to 5 semi-older movies. And then I watch those 5 semi-older movies and I see where they got their inspiration from, and that takes, it just kind of keeps growing. And you can kind of go back in time. Now, I was lucky in the sense that when I was studying film, like we sort of started from like the silent era and sort of worked our way through the 20th century of like all the kind of the big films and the big movements and everything like that. So I kind of come in it knowing the historical significance, if it, depending upon the year it came out, where it came out, the director, all that sort of stuff, So I maybe a bit more aware of like different waves of filmmaking, whether it's the German New Wave, the New Hollywood, the Golden Age, French New Wave, the Italian neorealism, whatever. But at the same time, all these films are interconnected. And so the more films you watch, the more you'll see in other films that you watch. And so it gets fun, and the more you learn about film too. If you edit, like you'll notice editing in films. If you shoot stuff like I do, like you'll notice cinematography choices, and it really gives you a much deeper understanding of films if you're really aware of filmmaking. So let's finish this up. I'm gonna just sort of get this sort of wrapping up right now.
Golly.
Yeah, I mean we have how long do we have, right, till till this is over? Trump said today, possibly to August. The Three Colors trilogy, and actually just watch all of Krzysztof Kieślowski. I have a video on him that's like a beginner's guide to him, so maybe check that out to see which movies you want to start off with. But check out Krzysztof Kieślowski. Three Colors trilogy, Decalogue, Double Life of Veronique, Blind Chance, Camera Buff, The Scar, No End. They're all great. Andrei Tarkovsky. I don't think I really have to say much about Tarkovsky. I think most people who are really into film have at least know about his films and make the time now. My favorite of his is Mir, is Circolo, but I'm also a big fan. I really do like Nostalgia, and I like all of his movies, so I'm not going to pick a favorite. Yeah, Terrence Malick, Hal Ashby. Hal Ashby's great. Go through his films. David Lynch. Hey, if you need to catch up on Twin Peaks, now's the time to do it. I might rewatch some of the older seasons of Twin Peaks. I love that show. So, but now is definitely the time to do that. Ingmar Bergman. Let's see, Akira Kurosawa. Yeah, you can do some Yasuhiro Ozu. Let me see. I have some like Golden Age films here. Heaven Can Wait. That's recently got a Criterion release. That's a really great Ernst Lubitsch film. On the Waterfront, if you haven't seen that. Someone just joined?
Ooh, Evan.
Yo, what's up?
Evan.
Dude, you joined literally at the end.
The what?
The end, dude.
The end? Oh, damn, that sucks.
Andrei Rublev is really great. I love it. I've seen it several times.
Oh, that's Tarkovsky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Evan, do you have a pick for a movie to watch in the quarantine?
I don't really know. Like, does it mean like a cozy movie, or like just a movie that has to do with
for any reason? We've gone over some films that are thematically appropriate to plague, and we've also just done movies that are just cozy, that are fun, or people
I don't know.
should watch.
I'd probably say Wes Anderson.
Okay, yeah, we already talked about Wes Anderson. Okay, so my favorite Wes Anderson still probably is Rushmore.
Rushmore?
Yeah, Rushmore's still probably my favorite. But it's like, honestly, it's my second favorite is, it's a tie between Moonrise and Grand Budapest.
I still haven't seen that one. It's like,
oh my god,
it's one of the only ones I haven't seen.
I'm gonna kick you, dude.
I have a Criterion of the Royal Tenenbaums, though.
I have a Criterion of all of his movies, so just get out. No, but the Royal Tenenbaums I actually think is his weakest.
No, I like the Royal Tenenbaums.
I think it's his weakest. I know that I'm in a minority here, but
Rushmore. I mean, like his style hadn't even really been born yet in Rushmore. Rushmore.
Oh no,
it
had his style was even in Bottle Rocket. If you go back and watch Bottle Rocket, and you'll see it's a very Wes Anderson film. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's like," I saw a video title, it was like Wes Anderson before Wes Anderson. For one, that doesn't make any sense. Two, that's stupid. 3.
That's such a video essay title.
I know. It bugged the hell out of me. I refused to watch it. But 3 also, his style is there. His style is there, and so whatever, and his style is in Rushmore. If you go back and watch Rushmore, it's a bit more subtle. His style, it didn't like Royal Tenenbaums. He made to be like this, like fairy tales. So it's a more the style is maybe more to the forefront, but at the same time, his style is still there in Rushmore. And Rushmore is
I'm not saying that it isn't like there at all. Because he still. Yeah, there's like there's the whole thing at the beginning, like the opening credit sequence, like with the curtains, and then like every month is like that kind of thing, and everything is dollhousey in that movie too.
Yeah, and I like the look of the.
And then
Royal
there's that one
Tenenbaums.
shot with him and the teacher, and they're like they're in the window, and so it tracks their conversation, as like they're in the same window, then they divide. There's like a like that kind of thing. That's Wes Anderson-isms,
Yeah.
So
no, but they do that in Rushmore. Rushmore is definitely more in line with kind of the French New Wave. So I want to have this as a jumping off point for maybe the last recommendation that I have, and that's to watch the Antoine Doinel series by Francois Truffaut. So I had a video on the first movie in that series the other night, which is The 400 Blows. And but then after that, you have Stolen Kisses, you have Antoine and Colette, you have Stolen Kisses, and you have Bed and Board, and then Love on the Run. And
actually, I think I do have a recommendation. I think that anything written by Charlie Kaufman would actually work.
Oh yeah, we talked about that already, Evan. You
really? God damn, I was off watching Jojo Rabbit. I was watching Jojo Rabbit.
You're watching the worst movie of last year.
You missed it for Jojo Rabbit.
You literally missed this for Jojo Rabbit?
We got it on Redbox. Me and my family did. So
I'm gonna kick you, dude.
It wasn't that bad. It was alright. It was tonally inconsistent.
Oh, the first 90 minutes of it was awful. The last 30 minutes of it were okay. I did not like Jojo Rabbit one bit. What was I gonna say? Yeah, Charlie Kaufman. The only thing from Charlie Kaufman we didn't bring up was Synecdoche, New York.
Synecdoche, New York, or whatever. However the fuck you pronounce that.
Synecdoche.
Synagogue.
Schenectady, New York, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And,
I love that one. That's a great one.
I saw his movie Anomalisa in the cinema, and it's like one of those movies. It's like it's well made, but it's like too depressing for its own good. Honestly,
that's the only one I haven't seen. Because honestly, I don't even think I would get that. Like that would not appeal to me. I think I would like it, but I don't think I would completely understand it because I'm a 14-year-old. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and also you're not old enough because it's R.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Rated R,
it's like,
dude.
well,
sure,
but I've seen Being John Malkovich. I've seen the rest of his movies.
All right, so I'm gonna start recommending some movies for people Evan and his age. So there's movies like Frozen. There's also Frozen 2. Disney put Frozen 2 on Disney Plus early just for you, Evan. So I know that after this you're just gonna go watch it.
Yesterday, my sister watched it. I was not there.
I'm surprised that you missed the stream for Jojo Rabbit and not for Frozen or Frozen 2. I'm sorry. You want to see everything newest. There's The Lion King.
Look, I saw Annihilation, so I've basically seen Frozen 2. Apparently, everyone says it's like Annihilation. Which I don't know if it is.
I haven't heard a single person say that.
I've seen like 50 Letterboxd reviews that are like, "Oh, it's Annihilation for Disney."
I think it's just all your friends watch Frozen 2 because you're 14.
Oh my god!
I haven't even seen Frozen 2.
Me neither. I haven't seen it because I'm not a kid.
I just heard that Brendan Urie song or whatever.
Starkiller.
That was it.
Starkiller says, Dora would be great for Evan. Decalogue or The Wire? Which one is better? I haven't seen The Wire. I don't watch a lot of TV or like almost any TV, so I don't know. I heard The Wire is great, but Decalogue. Yeah, actually, for real, watching the OG Evangelion during quarantine is a great idea. Yes, watch all the Obama angels being fought.
Well, did anyone recommend Guillermo del Toro? Anyone?
No, because Shape of Water was kind of not great.
Well, I'm talking about the ones that are in the trilogy de Guillermo del Toro. You know, like the three.
Pan's Labyrinth, Devil's Backbone, and Kronos.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Devil's Backbone, but I've seen Pan's Labyrinth and Kronos, and out of those two, I would only recommend Pan's Labyrinth. I wouldn't necessarily recommend
I think Kronos is interesting for a first film. Like, you know, you can kind of see some of the things he wants to talk about in that movie.
Tim keeps shilling Jerry. For a 14-year-old, Jerry is amazing. All right. It looks like Evan's going to watch Jerry. Or Garrett. Yeah, I think it's Jerry. All right, Evan, that's your homework. Tim
what is it?
Jerry by Gus Van Sant.
Oh, yeah.
The Sopranos is a great show to watch during the quarantine.
I've heard of Gus Van Sant, but I haven't seen any of his movies.
The Sopranos is probably a good choice. Starkiller goes, what are you talking about? Who doesn't want fish sex in their movie? That's a good point. No, I don't do I don't do reviews of like movies I don't like on my channel, except for Stranger Things. You guys should all check out my Stranger Things video. I like it. But there's quite a lot in that movie that I don't really like, even though it's made by people that I do like. Okay. Ruben keeps asking me, are you on Letterboxd? Yeah, I'm on Letterboxd. Just look up the Kino Corner. Yeah, I'm literally letterboxd.com/the Kino Corner.
But you definitely should see Devil's Backbone, though, dude. You should definitely see that.
Yeah, I got my whole Criterion channel sort of like, because, this last weekend I did Until the End of the World, so that was like just so much. I was like, I'm going to like start it off strong with like a long-ass movie. Fave Scorsese movie, Gabagool asks, that is a good question. I love Scorsese. My favorite movie by him? Let me think. You know what? Probably Raging Bull. I think Raging Bull is my favorite, but there's so much from his other movies I really like that keep bringing me back. I love After Hours. After Hours, I think, is a really underrated and great one.
So is The Color of Money. The Color of Money is underrated.
Yeah.
That one's really good.
And I still need to see Bringing Out the Dead. I've heard a lot of good things about that. Obviously, I love Goodfellas. Goodfellas is great. The Wolf of Wall Street I saw 3 times in cinemas. I love The Wolf of Wall Street. And The Aviator was actually I really like The Aviator as well.
I haven't seen that one.
Silence?
Have you seen Hugo?
Yes, Hugo is really good. I really like Silence. Silence was really good. It was depressing, but it was really good. There's really not a lot of Scorsese movies I really don't like. I think I liked. I'm missing some, but I like just about everything that I see by him. So Scorsese is who brought up Ava. That was Nameless Chico. So yeah, I have yet to see it. I have a box set of Cowboy Bebop. I am thinking of doing a little bit of Cowboy Bebop. I don't want to become an anime review channel, though. There's already so many. So many.
Digi, bro. You're going to be Digi, bro.
Oh, no.
His first 2 are not any good. Is that, like, who's that knocking at my door? That's, like, when he was working for Roger Corman, right? Kind of in those, when he was doing those, like, really low-budget films. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Peter Bogdanovich. Come on, guys. Watch The Last Picture Show. Mishima, Life in 4 Chapters. That's great. That's amazing. I love it. I gave it a 5-star on Letterboxd. Yeah, and Peter Bogdanovich, watch The Last Picture Show. And if you like Peter Bogdanovich, watch Orson Welles' movie, Into the Wind, or what's it called? The Other Side of the Wind.
The Other Side of the Wind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's on Netflix too. watch it.
Yeah, I saw that. And I did not understand it at all, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" It was really weird.
Watch Orson Welles. Another underrated Orson Welles movie is F for Fake. Paper Moon is great. I have not seen Paper Moon, but they just put it on Criterion. That was actually, I was thinking about watching that tonight, so I might get to that. Fave movie soundtrack: mine is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Blade Runner OST. Yeah, those are really great. I don't really know what my favorite soundtrack is. I don't really listen to movie soundtracks. Magnificent Ambersons is really good. It's great. I love the Magnificent Ambersons. Because to me, it kind of depends upon what era of the movie, because movie soundtracks were sort of work differently in different eras. I mean, I love the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. I mean, come on, it's great. Howard Shore.
I really like the soundtrack in Alien.
Yeah. All of the Ridley Scott movies have good soundtracks. I'm trying to think. Thin Red Line had a great soundtrack. Now, I love the soundtrack to The Tree of Life as well, but a lot of that is just classical music. I think I just like classical music. Days of Heaven, Morricone. Yeah, my favorite soundtrack.
I think my favorite soundtrack is "A Sincere pour Leche Fond." I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It was like that French film, but it had a bunch of Miles Davis tracks as the soundtrack.
Was that Elevator to the Gallows? Are you talking about Miles Davis? That's a great...
Yeah.
That's a great soundtrack. Elevator to the Gallows. Yeah, that may be in one of my favorites.
I love Miles Davis' stuff.
Yeah. Absolute Kinography says, the Kino Corner. 3 people in the chat agree you need to watch the OG Evangelion during the quarantine. All right, guys. I'll get to it. All right, you got to give me some time. These animes, I got to dive into them. Who just watches who's I'm going to watch half an anime episode? It doesn't happen.
I've seen Cowboy Bebop 6 times. I love Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, when you're in anime is I don't know, anime is like doing meth, once you start, don't expect it to stop for the next 72 hours,
Yeah, I have that on Blu-ray. I have all the Cowboy Bebop episodes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get to that. Malachite, Days of Heaven. No, Malachite says something else. Weeb Corner. Yeah, I wanted to address this. So, all right, guys. So in November. All right, this is. I'm saying this really far in advance. If I fail No Nut November, I'm going to change my YouTube channel name to the Kino Coomer. So,
Day one.
Day one. I won't be watching Nymphomaniac during November.
Oh, that's sad. No Nymphomaniac. Damn, bro.
I won't be watching any of these movies.
I won't be watching
any Nicholas Roeg film during November, right? So don't look now. Out. Not watching it. Watch it during the quarantine. It's great. Watch these films during the quarantine.
Dude, that Donald Sutherland scene, man, bro, that's...
The Man Who Fell to Earth. That's not making it into November, right? That's out, right?
Look, ScarJo, she was pretty hot and under the skin.
Yeah.
So that one's out.
Yeah, so all these movies that could be titillating any way, shape, or form. I'm not watching them in November, and don't expect any videos on them either. Okay? So November is going to be where I'm analyzing family content, right? G-rated movies. People watch Nymphomaniac for the story.
That's out. No Frozen.
Yeah, for you, Evan, maybe. Gabagool says people watch Nymphomaniac for the story. I watched it for the story. The story is interesting.
It's all about the lore.
It's all about the internal struggle, inside her mind, and yeah, that's what it's about. But yeah, so gosh, we've gone over so many movies. Honestly, I'm just gonna kind of start wrapping it up. Hey, if anyone has comments or questions or whatever that they want to sort of just throw in here, Do much porn for plot. Yeah, I'm gonna show everything. Yeah, if you have any questions for us, you can't watch Magic Mike. Then I'm just gonna start winding things down, and I think we have talked about a lot of movies, right? There's so many movies to watch, guys. Like honestly, as I said, just I have the Google Doc. That's a good. I'd say it's a good sort of like beginner's guide to like just kind of getting into film. But there's so many movies to watch, and what you should try to do is watch movies that are out of your comfort zone. Now, for me, I like to watch movies that are in my comfort zone when I'm kind of not feeling like really working my mind. But while you're in a quarantine and you want to sort of expand your cinematic knowledge, expand what you've seen, go for movies that maybe are critically acclaimed. There's the BFI Top 250 list, or the Sight and Sound Top 250 list. It's also a good list to go by. There's American Film Institute's Top 100. That's another good list. And then start watching those films. Start watching movies that look interesting, that just on any other day you might have put off because maybe it was long, because it looked weird, because of other things. But I'd say that's my advice. And you can, I've watched such great films that I just knew nothing about beforehand. Rumblefish was an example. I didn't know anything about it. I literally just blind bought it during a sale, and I love it. And of course, now I'm looking at the chat. Shrek is my favorite erotic film. So we've been here for 2 hours, right? And we've dropped a lot of movies.
Yeah, well, but I wasn't watching any of it. So.
But honestly, you can just watch Shrek every day in the quarantine. Just Shrek every single day in the quarantine. And Shrek 1 and Shrek 2, right? So you watch Shrek 1, you put on Shrek 2, and it's a good progression. And then what you do is after watching Shrek 2, you want to see where it all began. So you immediately put back in Shrek 1. And then after you finish
then you go to
Shrek,
watch
after
Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. That's when you go to watch.
No, that's what you watch. That's what you watch every night before you go to sleep. Is Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. But I think that you can I only watched Shrek the Third. Is that because you like Justin Timberlake? Is that why? Shrek 2 is better than Shrek 1. I agree with that. Shrek 2 is better.
No, it isn't.
Oh my god, dude, it so is.
I gotta agree with Kino.
Yeah, it so is a much better film. Why don't you rate Marvel movies on Letterboxd? Because I don't care about Marvel movies. I honestly, I've seen them. I haven't seen all of them. I just saw Endgame the first time the other day.
Wait, hold on. You watched The Rise of Skywalker, right?
I stopped at about an hour and a half in.
Stopped.
At about an hour and a half into The Rise of Skywalker, I went to bed.
Dude, I told you it was worthless. There was literally no reason to watch it.
Shrek 2 introduced Puss in Boots, so perfectly understandable. Although Antonio Banderas is king. Watch his Almodovar movies. They're great. And, but, yeah, no, I don't rate Marvel movies because I don't really care for... If I was going to rate a Marvel movie, I would pretty much rate all of them like 2 to 3 stars. They're all... that you know what I mean. With Marvel, you know exactly what you're gonna get, so I don't even see the point of reviewing them. It's a product. It's not really art.
What about Spider-Verse?
I haven't seen Spider-Verse. I know it's been on Netflix for forever, but I haven't seen Spider-Verse. It's
Dang.
Yeah,
that one's pretty good.
Yeah, I just I'm usually off-put by Time Me Down. That's my favorite romantic comedy. Yeah. I'm just kind of off-put by most superhero stuff, so I tend to wait a long time to watch it. And there was a lot of hype in front of Spider-Verse, a lot of hype. and I just didn't want to get involved in the hype at all. And I was kind of like, yeah, I'll watch it like when everything is settled. And I guess everything is settled, but at the same time, I'm not watching it. I'll probably watch it at some point when I'm like with my brother or something. He wants to watch a movie like that, but I'm just not super interested. Where do you find all of these movies? So where I find a lot of the films, I mean, if you go to Criterion Channel, go to the CriterionChannel.com. They have tons of great movies on there. It's $99 for a year. So I paid like $100, and you get just like the most amazing films. Classic films, art films, indie films, foreign movies.
I miss Filmstruck.
Criterion Channel, I would say, is better.
Really?
Yeah, it's better than Filmstruck. Yeah, it's great, and they have Criterion editions of movies on there. So it like the movies will come with all their bonus features. Super cool. Go to CriterionChannel.com. You can watch a bunch of great films on there, and I think you can get a 2-week like the first 2 weeks are free, so you can like check it out, see if you want to pay for it. Try to watch it in the Spider-Verse in the quarantine. Yeah, I'll try. We probably have several months, but
several years.
But yeah, so anyways, guys, I'm just gonna end this. I'm gonna end this by saying that this week I'm working on a video on Uncut Gems. So I uploaded my Parasite video yesterday. It's doing pretty well, and I'm making a video on Uncut Gems. So I'll probably be rewatching that either tonight or tomorrow night, and hopefully you guys have seen it. So watch that before the video comes out. Video will probably be live Sunday, and I'm thinking of doing some videos that are a bit more low key if you guys are into it, where it's more about like filmmaking sort of tips. Like I have a Super 16mm camera, and I was thinking about doing like a small video. I was thinking about doing a small video for showing how to like load film and kind of explaining things of film. So if you guys are into it, just like let me know. But anyways, yeah, so we are ending this. Thank you all for joining in tonight. And this was movies to survive the quarantine. Hopefully you guys got a good list. And thanks to Evan and Jay for hopping on. Of course, thanks to Creston for being on here initially. And I hope you guys all have a good night. And, of course, also, be safe. Be safe out there. Obey the rules. Don't, social distancing, all that kind of stuff. I don't want any of my followers dying. All right. I don't want you guys getting sick. I don't want you guys spreading it. I don't want you getting sick. Stay safe out there, and have a good night.